Today, Riot gave us another small batch of reveals for the upcoming Sentinels and Ruination event. The small batch contained 2 cards, and these 2 cards are not likely going to make a huge splash on the meta, whether that means ladder or tournaments. However, I do think there are some interesting points to be made regarding them, and at least one of them has meme-worthy fun written all over it. Now, I want to start with Frightened Ibex here. This is a 1-cost 1/2 out of Targon, and it says, when I'm supported, give me and my supporting ally +1/+1 this round. Now, it would be very easy to take a look at this and say, okay, well, this is just significantly worse than Flower Child. And for the most part, I agree, but there are some exceptions or some differences that I do want to highlight. So the reason that Flower Child is likely just better in most cases is the permanent scaling. It's very much like Green Glade for the barrier deck, but instead for your support deck. However, this card, even though it is a temporary buff, this card does something that Flower Child does not, in that it supports the unit supporting it, right? This could potentially keep your Lulu alive by giving it the +1/+1 as well. And that is a +2/+2 when you're factoring in that the supporting ally gets it and the Ibex gets it. So you're getting a better stat distribution, but you're just not getting it permanently. Now, the other thing that I really like about this is because it is also giving the bonus to the supporter. As somebody who has played a lot of Lulusives, this is actually pretty good for something like Young Witch, because in that list, you are trying to emphasize your elusive units. Traditionally, you're playing the low to the ground elusive package, and then the units with support like Lulu, or in some cases like even Young Witch, they're really meant to buff up your other elusive units. But in that list in the past, I have ran Flower Child just so that you have more 1-drops, but Ibex here is potentially better because even though the Ibex itself will not attack for as much as Flower Child, it does give the buff back to your Young Witch, which is far less likely to be blocked because Young Witch has elusive. And so there are some fringe cases where I could see Ibex potentially being better. I will likely experiment with replacing my Flower Child slots with Ibex once this has been released, at least in that list. It is also worth noting that this is a Targon card and not an Ionia card, and so the support archetype is heavy in those 2 regions. But by giving you a Targon tool, if you want to pair Targon with a non-Ionia region and still run a support heavy package, this gives you something that you can choose to include there as well, and you're not pigeonholed into running, you know, the entire duo region package. So I think that this is a nice add. It gives some additional support, unintended, to the support archetype. But for me, the real standout is how this either helps to keep your Lulu alive, or more importantly, gives the buff kind of backwards to Young Witch. And honestly, Young Witch supporting this on round 2 is still pretty fearsome. If you play Ibex on 1 when you're attacking on evens, and then you play Young Witch and you swing with Young Witch supporting this, Ibex goes to a 3/3 with quick attack, and your Young Witch, because it was recently buffed as well, is now going to be a 2/3 elusive. That's still a reasonable opener for a list like that. So this is Ibex. I like it, but like I said, it's not going to make any sort of huge splash. I just like that it's a new option that exists. But the card I'm most excited about from today's reveals is Defective Swapbot. I think that name is a bit insulting because it's not defective. It gets the swapping part done. This is a 4-cost 4/3 from Piltover and Zon. It says on play, swap my stats with another unit, but there's a lot to consider here. First, the playability is a skill, so that means your opponents will get the opportunity to interact with and or interrupt you trying to use this effect. They could, for example, if you're trying to swap Swapbot's stats with a smaller unit of your own, Mystic Shot the small unit, interrupt the entire transaction, or they could just outright use something like Deny or Write a Negation to cancel the skill altogether. So you do have to keep that in mind. You do also have to keep in mind that this says swap my stats with another unit. So you can do this with your own units or with your opponents, and you can do it with champions and followers. I'm personally excited because of meme potential, and I want to play this targeting my own Teemo, because who doesn't love big Teemos? That's what I want to do with it. And I recognize that this is not the most effective way to buff a Teemo. but it's just something that I want to do because I think that it's fun and funny. I want to Swapbot on Fizz, I want to Swapbot on Zoe, all of those things. But the reality is, as much as I'm enjoying this card and thinking about the ways that I want to do silly things with it, from an actual value standpoint, it gets overshadowed, in my opinion, by Laurent Bladekeeper. Now, Bladekeeper is in another region, and so that might make Swapbot more likely to be appealing depending on the kinds of decks you're playing. Obviously, if you're trying to target Teemo, having an option that's already in the same region as Teemo is a lot more helpful because you're not pigeonholed into, say, playing Demacia. But Bladekeeper is a 3/3 that grants a +2/+2, and your opponent does not get the opportunity to interrupt the buff. So you get a 5/5 worth of stats when you play Bladekeeper. Here with Swapbot, it's a 4-cost 4/3. There's no other relevant keywords, and you are not even ending up with a potential blocker for like fearsome units like you do with Bladekeeper. So if you're playing this and you're targeting a Teemo, really you're playing a 1/1 that gives Teemo +3/+2. Like, that is the end result. And when you put it like that, it doesn't sound very exciting or great. And then even more so when you factor in that your opponent can interrupt it, it is potentially problematic. Now, I will say that it's not a direct comparison because you can target your opponent's units. And so that could give you a way to deal with rather large units. Historically, Piltover and Zaun itself as a region, not counting pairings, right? But just as a region by itself, Piltover and Zaun has struggled to deal with units that are very large because most of their removal is damage based. Swapbot is in that sweet spot of being exactly 3 health. So if somebody pops a Frozen Thrall on you and you're playing Piltover and Zaun, you don't have to despair. You could play a Swapbot to make the Thrall jump down to a 4/3 and you jump up to the 8/8. But then also, because it now has a 3 health, it can die to things like Get Excited or Gotcha. So there's some uses there, but they're kind of niche, and there are certainly scenarios where Swapbot would be ineffective or kind of a dead draw. And so ultimately, as I said before, I just don't see this as making a huge splash in terms of impacting the meta on the ladder or in tournaments. It's fun. I'm going to experiment with it because I think there's a lot of opportunities to have fun. But just in terms of straight value, I'm not sure that there's enough there for this to really warrant inclusion in all but like a very small handful of decks. So that's the reveals for today. And if you made it this far, I appreciate you as always. Thank you for watching. And until next time, may you walk on warm sands.